Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Ariel Arena for Day 2 action of the National Christian School Athletic Association National Championships. I'm Coach Rasmus. I'll be joined a little bit later on by Father Cheveria. If you missed yesterday's action, the Lions went down 80-49 in the Tier 1 bracket quarterfinals, so they've been relegated to the Tier 2 National Championship semifinal. That game yesterday against the Trinity International Thunder, a very good team from Las Vegas, Nevada. And the Lions are in for another tough one today as they get ready for the New Faith Christian Academy Titans out of Atlanta, Georgia. They came into the tournament as the #1 overall seed and had a bit of an upset at the hands of Horizon yesterday. We're still waiting for the Titans to make their appearance on the court, but we should see them momentarily, and the Lions going through their warm-ups. And again, we apologize. There's been a bit of bad weather this weekend up here in Cleveland, and it has disrupted our internet connections all around the city. So we'll stream this game for you live, and I believe that you're getting probably full audio at home. So we'll try to be as descriptive as possible. But if you'd like to watch the game at a later time, as soon as we're able to get those uploaded, find somewhere that has the internet capabilities to get us all online, we will have those available. Emails will be sent out. I'm sure it'll be put on the website, and we hope you get to enjoy the video as well. But for now, we are getting ready for basketball here. It's a 12 o'clock tip-off, so about 10 minutes away from the start of the game. The Lions will be looking to bounce back from playing a team that was really just completely more athletic, used to playing a higher level of competition. We mentioned in the pregame yesterday that Trinity International, they were 10-10 on the season, but those 10 losses are coming, one of them was to the #1 ranked team in the United States, and that was only by 2 points. The Lions, unfortunately, don't get the same opportunity to play the same level of competition, and the pressure that was applied by the Thunder yesterday was perhaps a bit too much. Today, you hope for the Lions to have a strong showing, and I'm waiting for Father Cheveria, who just arrived, to join me on the headset here, get his impressions on the Titans, who we saw play a little bit yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, Coach, good evening, afternoon, whatever. Good morning. Morning,
Yeah.
afternoon.
It's still morning for a little bit.
Still morning for a little bit. Well, the big question right now is, are they going to show up? New Faith lost their first game of the tournament. And they came all the way from Georgia. Oh, we haven't seen them anywhere in the building yet. And the big question is, are the Lions going to have an opponent today, or is it just going to be an easy forfeit win for them?
Well, you'd hope it wouldn't be that. New Faith Christian Academy, of course, if they do, when they do show up in the building, Lions are going to have their hands full. Team from Trinity International, not very chippy. They're all very a bit more composed in nature. The guys from New Faith, they have that fight in them, and they're coming off a loss that they probably find a bit embarrassing. They're gonna be out for blood today, one would think.
We know that they'd played Trinity very close the past couple tournaments. The Trinity coach told me after the game that his team had faced off against New Faith the past few times in this event, past couple years, and it had been a close game every single time. So hopefully, the Lions come out with a little more fight than we did yesterday early on in the game against Trinity.
Yeah, and the Lions just need to show some composure. You can't put blood in the water, so to speak, early on against these good opponents. We saw that the first few times that the Thunder applied pressure yesterday, the Lions guards looked completely shocked to be receiving it, and they just can't do that. They have to, stand in, hold on to the ball. You do that a few times, that pressure backs off, especially for those first few possessions. You can turn that pressure into some easy hoops. So the Lions really need to assert themselves early, and I think that will force the Titans to respect him a bit more than perhaps the Thunder had to on the Lions' offensive possessions.
Yeah, the Thunder had an easy time of it yesterday. They were able to get pretty much anything they wanted against Salette, which when all 5 of your players can shoot, that's easily done. We'll see what's going on now. We see the official over by the scorer's table talking to the powers that be there, the people running the clock.
Yeah, and of course Michael Latz in the middle of
Michael Latz, who impressed the Trinity coach yesterday.
Yeah, I think he might be getting a job offer down in Las Vegas.
He has a job offer in Las Vegas, Nevada,
to go coach
to help him with his program.
But still waiting.
There's somebody walking over to a bench and dropping bags down, so we'll see if that's somebody affiliated with.
I believe that is the head coach of New Faith. Excuse me, I think I might have said New Hope a few times. New Faith Christian Academy.
New Faith, New Hope. We'll see. Yeah, we see books being pulled out now. It looks kind of official, so maybe their players are changing, and they'll be here shortly.
And the other thing you'd like to see the Lions do on defense, they've had an opportunity to see how these games are going to be refereed, and you just can't let guys just blow by you with no contact. They're not calling hand checks at this tournament.
No, they've let us play very physically. And even more disturbing than that, to me at least, was the couple times the Lions players went up and they got bumped or there was some body contact with the Trinity player. Now, the officials, they weren't making those calls. I mean, they would make the calls if there was a hard foul on the ball, but, you know, the little bumps and everything, they were not getting called in this tournament. And our guys would stop playing, you know, after the contact, and the Trinity would just rebound the ball and go the other way with it. So,
yeah, so
you know, we have to adjust. If it's not being called, we keep playing until there's a whistle.
Well, you would like to see him play, you know, even through that, fight through that contact, get that and one opportunity. You know, don't just expect the foul. Try to be greedy. Go for that extra bucket. Get that extra point.
That's our lesson of the day. Be greedy.
Be greedy. But yeah, and you know, like there's one point, I think it was literally when we were talking about this yesterday, you know, Will Schrader was fighting on the ground for a ball, and he basically shoved a Trinity player on his back to get to the ball. You know, it was play on.
Exactly, yeah.
The Lions got to take note of that, and hopefully they do today as the Lions practice their dunks here in the warm-up. No.
Definitely have enough time to warm up. Which is a blessing in these tournaments. So, you know, with games being played back to back to back like that, there's nowhere to really shoot or, you know, get loose before a game. You have to almost walk onto the court and start playing. So this added warm-up time is good for us.
It looks like that's probably what's going to have to happen for the Titans, Lions opposition.
Let's see, you see, looks like their coach perhaps walking over talking to the official.
I believe their coach is at the scorer's table with Mr. Tommy Martin, a member of our broadcast team.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And Tommy getting the names of those players for us up here. So we hopefully get the starting lineup.
And here we have some of the New Faith guys walking onto the court. They'll be wearing
white.
White today. The Lions with the away team wearing blue. They had a very tough loss yesterday, as you were saying, Coach, in their first game of the tournament. Very hotly contested game.
They would have been favorites to win the tournament, I believe, at least by the seedings that the tournament gave away. The National Christian School Athletic Association ranks all of the teams in their membership. And the New Faith Christian Academy were ranked #1. Your Salette Lions were ranked in there at 10th in the country.
10th in the country.
Yeah.
Wow, we're moving up the chain.
Well, it's only a 47 school membership, so. But, you know, it's really good to see the Lions playing this higher level of competition. You'll remember the Gateway Christian Academy game that the Lions played about two or three weekends ago, I believe it was. They came to our gym, and the Lions won a thriller in overtime. And that team was ranked 9th, one spot ahead of us, and they actually requested to get moved down to a lower bracket, and they won their game by about 30 points in the opening round of the tournament. So you can see, you know, the Lions chose to, you know, had the opportunity to go down. They didn't want to. They want to play this higher level of competition. If the Lions had wanted to, they could have probably gone through an easy bracket and possibly won a big trophy, but you gotta give it up to Coach Anderson, Father McMahon, and all the admins and the players too, who you know say no, we wanna go against the real deal. We want to play the best teams in the country.
Yeah, when that issue was discussed with the players before we left home to come here to play, the players to a man all refused to go down to the lower division. They said they'd much rather play against good competition, against this, you know, very high-level competition than, as you say, Coach, win an easy one.
Yeah. Well, that's good to see. We see I'd expect to see the same starting 5 as we normally see for the Lions. Obviously captained by senior Ian Burns. You'll probably have Adese, Quain, Moss on the floor. Drew was a bit of a question mark yesterday just because it's a 94-foot court. He's a big guy, and it's a lot of up and down for him to do, getting back and forth up and down that court. So
yeah, and especially with the speed that Trinity has, they're you know, when we saw their 7-footer come onto the floor, I thought, well, that's incredible force, but you know, at least that might slow the game down a little bit so we can keep up with them, and it did not at all. He was fast. He could get up and down the floor in no time flat. So it was incredible athletes that they have.
And looks like we're starting to get ready for tip-off. And we're just getting the roster as some of the New Faith players are still coming out of the changing room.
We'll see who takes the floor for them. It looks like number 23, Brown, number 5, Deji, number 4, Roos, number 21, Rutherford, and the player next to Moss, I can't quite make out his number from there. They have those faint numbers on the, it's more of a gray that they're wearing.
It's number 23.
Number 23, there you go.
We already got Brown.
We already got Brown.
Number 2, last coming onto the court there, is Elijah Smith.
Elijah Smith, there we are.
And
more players. There's their number 0, Morgan. We saw him have a nice game. Oh, he caught his own tip. He saw him have a nice game their last game. Very strong presence inside. There, Adese won the tip, but he caught the tip after he won it, which is a violation. So possession will go to New Faith. Running sort of a motion over at the top of the key there. Running players around and off the ball.
Lions have seen plenty of that. Burns almost comes up with a steal, but then he loses it. Number 4 drives in the lane. A little floater goes. Good for Malcolm Rouse. Now it's the ball with Moss. He takes it over the timeline. There's a trap waiting for him, but he gets it to Quain, who passes baseline, has the ball kicked out of bounds by number 21, Rutherford, and it will be Lions basketball to inbound from the left side of the basket.
Yeah, Quain trying to slip the ball down to the low block there. Pass wasn't quite able to get through.
Burns has it. He goes across to Moss. Quain for 3 and goes behind the backboard. Going for the rebound is, I believe, Rouse, and he just knocks it out of bounds. So Quain will get to inbound from a similar spot. He finds Burns for the baseline jumper, can't get it. Quain with another offensive rebound. The Lions can't find the hoop, but they can get the ball back. Moss drives in, hits it off the backboard, can't get it to go. Garrett Drew, another offensive rebound, but he can't find a teammate to pass it to as he goes to the floor into the front court with Brown at the moment. They go around the horn. Up top for 3, and it's good. That one from the hand of Deshaun Rutherford. He's got 3. Quain's got it. He's driving. He has the ball knocked out of his hands by Deji, and for the 3rd time in the early moments of this game, it's the Lions to inbound from the right side of that, or the left side of the hoop on the baseline.
Yeah, we seem to be getting a lot of possession over there on the left-hand side.
And Moss has been drawing a double team here.
He's getting a lot of attention.
Adese goes up with it, can't get it to go. Drew has his putback attempt blocked, and he throws a pass out of bounds. Not sure who that was for, but the referee said it was tipped.
Maybe Lions basketball. Extremely fortunate there. These are a couple of the mistakes that we made the first game, Coach.
None of the Lions seem to know what's going on. They're all hanging back.
Yeah, this is what we saw the first game, where we came out against a very good opponent and just were completely discombobulated. You know, throwing balls to no one in particular, standing around. We have to start playing ball.
And watch Elijah Smith and Joel Adese. There's a little bit of a push there. Burns hits the 3.
That's the first 3 of the game. First points of the game for the Lions.
Lions trailing 5-3 now. And again, a reminder, we do not have the scoreboard right in front of us. We can't see it, we can't see the clock, so we're doing our best over here. On the far side of the arena, we've got Coach Anderson's dad just texting us updates to make sure that we're on track with the proper score and proper time. So we're doing our best with that. Obviously, these big tournaments, it's a bit tough. We don't have the big scoreboard and everything. That time Burns no good for 3.
Yeah, he rushed the shot there, Coach. He had plenty of time to take that shot, and just getting a little nervous at being so wide open. I think he let it fly early. But still, even as out of it as the Lions have looked early, they're still down. It's just still a 1-possession game after that 3 by Burns.
Quain to Adese. Adese's man jumps the passing lane and leaves him open, but he can't get it to fall. Garrett Drew not coming up with the offensive rebound, so it's Rouse the other way. Out of control, layup attempt, no good. Adese, now Moss finally gets the basketball. He gets harassed a bit and then puts it on the floor. And timeout is called by Coach Anderson. His team will out of call.
He wants to talk things over, and you see Coach Anderson, who's normally very calm on the sidelines there, seems to be absolutely livid at this early performance by the Lions. Now we get a look at the clock with 5 minutes and 11 seconds to go in this first quarter of play. It's 5-3 New Faith. We're getting a lot of help by the students here at Nazarene College, who have been very generous to flip that scoreboard around for us when they can. But obviously, you know, there's only so often that they can do it.
Yeah, the arena only has the one scoreboard. They don't have it in use, so we got kind of a rec league, like the intramural scoreboards that you'll see from time to time.
This is unfortunate. There's Moss to inbound now. He'll throw it into the backcourt to Quain. Lions still have the 5 starters on the floor with Quain and Moss, Burns, Drew, and Adese.
Moss draws that double team. There's got to be space somewhere. Lions, they're trapping hard on the Lions guards. What a pass to Burns. He can't come up with it, though. Knocked out of bounds by Rouse, and it'll be Lions basketball. And finally, we get to see him inbound from the right side of the baseline. switching things up
a little bit. Very nice look by Adese, as you say, Coach. Burns didn't quite have his hands in position to get a hold of the basketball, but it was a very nice play.
And New Faith looks a little bit asleep here to start things off. That layup attempt no good. And
that's
rebound.
Sorry, go ahead.
Rebound collected by Deji. And now the Titans are driving, and Quain gets 2 hands on the ball.
Egan's ready to get a little bit chippy, which is nice to see. No, not afraid to mix it up with the New Faith players.
And possession arrow favors the Titans.
You see Coach Anderson having a little bit of a chat with the ref down there.
Deji's attempt no good. Moss looks around, sees that no one's here to harass him. He walks into a double team, then passes it to Deji.
Then a nice play by Egan Quain running back there to knock the ball away from the player. Caleb has to get his head on straight here, Coach. We saw the same thing from him yesterday against Trinity. Just very, very spooked, let's say, out there on the court. He's a much better player than that. Yeah. Telegraphing passes and, not seeing things on the floor.
Well, he reckons that he's a lot of people would reckon that he's a D1 talent, but he's got to show it against good competition.
Exactly, yeah. Now we see number 0 checking into the game for New Faith. That's Morgan, Zach Morgan. We'll see how he mixes it up inside against Edesse.
They say that last shot was tipped by Quain coming from behind for the block. So Quain will get credit for the block, but the Titans got it from the baseline to inbounds. Now it's up at the top with the man who just checked in. Driving down out to Rouse. Ball here on the left side, goes back to the top, and a set is called. Now Brown has it near the half-court line. He gets a very high screen and then steps out of bounds.
Yeah, he stepped on the sideline right there. Absolutely right, Coach. He couldn't quite locate the sidelines there. It's very hard to do on this floor. As you can see, this is a big college floor split into 2 courts. So we're effectively using the side hoops here, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can actually see them, but there's the lines are taped, like a little bit of electrical tape. That shot no good.
Oh, goodness,
Garrett Drew draws the foul on Rouse. I believe that's the first foul of the game on either team. And that was an over-the-back foul, not a shooting foul. It's on the floor.
Back foul, yeah.
So
for once, I mean, I wish the refs had let that go too, because Moss was streaking in right there, and he would have had an easy layup attempt.
And shot no good by Brown. Rouse steps in, then passes it to Burns, then up ahead to Quain, who steps out of bounds, trying to recover the pass.
A little force there on the fast break. The Lions had the opportunity to advance and score the ball, but New Faith was coming back really quickly there, and matters were kind of forced, trying to get the ball up to Quain up the sideline.
And the score remains 5-3. Quain is, fighting hard, diving on the floor for loose balls. You like to see that. And there's a bucket to break the scoring drought by way of Morgan.
So now by our count, it's 7-3, Coach, although as we already said, oh goodness, that could have been an over and back violation. Moss caught the ball with straddling the mid-court line there. And there's a point by Edesse.
Nice little jumper from just inside the free throw line. And now it's only a 7-5 ball game. It's pretty tight.
It is extremely tight, yeah.
And the Lions showing signs of life. And one of the ways they're doing it is just by the hard work of Egan Quain here to start off the game. It's not necessarily, good basketball play. It's not necessarily bad basketball play as well. It's not skill, though. It's just hard work, grit. He's been diving on the floor for loose balls, and he's won a few possessions for the team, getting back in transition. He's doing really well right now. It's not showing up on the scoreboard, but he's keeping his team in this by, sprinting back in transition deep. And the Lions are going to need plenty of that if they're going to hang around for 4 quarters with the Titans. Team from the south side of Atlanta.
South side of Atlanta. Definitely brought a lot of talent. You can see they're subbing guys in and out of there. I would imagine that number 23 for them, Brown, doesn't look like he's normally a starter. But the New Faith is getting guys in and off of the bench there.
And a great steal by Edesse. Again, diving on the floor, fighting for it. Burns for 3, a little short. Rebound by Edesse, too strong. Schrader on the putback, and it's good.
I think a foul is going to be called when Edesse went up there before Schrader collected that rebound, Coach. Edesse had 2 players on him there underneath the basket. So
you are correct, Father, and it will be Edesse shooting 2, but still great work on those offensive boards by the Lions. First free throw is good by Edesse.
Did you just say I was right about something? We're recording this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Are we recording? We're recording. Okay. We're helped out here in the booth by the Martin brothers, Joe and Tommy, who have very generously volunteered, helped out with their time.
And Adese gets 2 points to put the score at 7-all. That pass almost out of bounds, but Rouse controls it. Now up top with Brown. And Rutherford for 3, no good this time. Adese comes up with the rebound, and he wisely passes it to Quain to take across the timeline. And we're starting to see a bit of pressure here. Bounce pass to Moss, cross court. Now with Quain to Burns in the corner. He finds Moss. Moss drives in, finds Adese down low, turning around to the basket, and it's good.
Wow, what a great shot by Joel. That was a fantastic basketball play.
Have their first lead
of the game, 9-7.
First lead of the tournament.
First lead of the tournament is exactly right.
Rouse trying to put his team back ahead, and he does with a 3. Now it's 10-9.
Answers right back. He's got a very nice shot, Coach. Nice form, good release.
And there's space. That pressure is leading to space, and a nice little floater for Burns from the left side of the hoop. And now the Lions lead 11-10.
11-10, exactly, yeah.
With about a little under a minute to play here in the first quarter, the Lions are hanging tight with the Titans. Then down low goes Rouse. He dishes it to Morgan, who goes off the glass, gets the bucket and the foul.
Yeah, we got to be. I mean, you can't say it enough, Coach. When we foul these guys, we have to foul them. They're very strong players. Morgan will have no problem fighting through like a mediocre challenge and getting up there and finishing strong. He's a big, strong guy.
We see 2 new subs, 2 new guys into the game for the Titans. Number 10, Devon Jackson, and I believe it was number 11, Juwan Kenny.
Juwan Kenny. The New Faith definitely has a deeper bench than Trinity did. Trinity's team, I was talking to their coach after the game, and they only brought 7 of their 11 players, 4 guys being left behind for disciplinary reasons. So they arrived very short-handed. Another great basket by Adese there, another 2-pointer.
And it's tied again at 13. But yeah, the Trinity coach, a class act, you had to say yesterday. He used to play at UNLV and has a great connection there. A lot of his boys get offered by the
Running Rebels.
The Running Rebels, a great mid-major there in Las Vegas. And the Lions are down 15-13. Now it's starting to turn into a little shootout with both teams heating up. Moss for 3, no good. And there's the final buzzer. So at the at the quarter time, score is 15-13. New Faith leads the Lions, but it's a much closer one than yesterday.
Much closer, yeah. And I think the Lions hopefully are gaining a little bit of confidence from this.
Yeah.
Because at the end of that first quarter, I mean, we could see this team is clearly athletically superior than we are, but I mean, our discipline is much better.
Yeah. Well, this team reminds me a lot of Gateway Christian Academy and the way that game kind of went once Gateway turned it on a bit. And you'd have to think as the game goes on, the Titans will tighten up on offense and on defense as they get a bit more composed. Obviously, it looks like they just came off the bus.
Yeah, they just came off the bus. They're still waking up.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, Coach, even though Trinity was, needless to say, a much superior team than we were, you know, they outscored us by 15 in the first quarter, and we lost by 31. So they outscored us by 16 through the other 3 quarters. Now, as you had pointed out in a previous conversation we had, they were taking their foot off the gas a little bit, but they were still playing, and they were still playing good defense and passing and taking shots and making shots.
They were still making savage dunks.
Making savage dunks on us. So, and I think really a part of that was just us just calming down. I mean, goodness, we were just scared out of our minds in the first quarter of that game, which is, I mean, we knew the competition we were coming up against. I think a lot of it, too, is the speed of the game against Trinity. It was just so fast. And as we both talked about, we just weren't used to it. So now maybe we'll see a more calm, composed, aggressive La Salette.
And Adese wide open for 3 from college range. There's that college 3-point line out there that we can all see. Rouse drives in, kicks to Rutherford. Rutherford will take it back out to the top. Now he's got it on the left side.
And there's the matchup down low with Adese and Morgan.
And there's a steal for the Lions. Schrader's got it. He puts the ball on the floor. He is being harassed a bit by Jackson. Now Quain Gets it over the timeline, bounce pass to Adese. Adese looks around for his options. He's guarded closely by Morgan, puts the ball on the floor, puts up a jumper from the free throw line. It's short. Morgan rebounds, running back the other way. Calling for the alley-oop pass is Rutherford, but Morgan doesn't give it. And there's a push call against Will Schrader, I believe.
I think Adese is getting an earful from Coach Anderson. Two very questionable shots, Coach. The one was a three-pointer from a range that he does not normally shoot the ball from, and the second one being extremely awkward, heavily contested jumper. I mean, we can get better shots than that against this team.
Rutherford with it, back to Rouse at the top of the key. He puts up that three that he's hit a few times. This time he's off a little bit to the left.
And that's a good job by Schrader, honoring the fake with an adjustment of his body position, but getting back there to contest, get a hand up, on that three-point attempt. Not jumping into the guy, just hassling him a little bit, make that shot difficult.
Around the horn the ball goes. Now it's with Moss at the top. He steps in, dishes to Schrader, who has the ball knocked away. Quain fights for it, gets it. There's Will Schrader wide open. Down low to Burns, off the glass and in.
That's an excellent play by Adese, making up for his previous two mistakes. You see when he caught the ball there at the free throw line, Coach, his eyes and very good basketball technique went right to the rim, and he saw the open Ian Burns down low and got it to him for the easy two-point basket.
Morgan gets baseline on Adese, and now it's 17-15, still very close.
Hotly contested so far, Coach. We're in for a basketball game today.
We'll see how long the Lions' legs can last them on this 94-foot floor with realistically probably only about 6, maybe 7 guys who can run with this team. And Moss fouls Rouse hard, so Rouse will go to the line and shoot 2.
Moss going flying through the air there, trying to get a block. No, he's over trying, I think, at this point.
I like it. No easy hoops down there. That's how you got to foul these guys. I'm honestly surprised that the refs called it a foul, is how they've been going in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he just bumped him with the body. He didn't hack his arms or anything, so they're tightening up the call a little bit here.
18-15 with that first free throw make. And Rouse sends the second one up. It's good as well, so now it's a 4-point game. Largest lead of the day. Quain being harassed the entire length of the floor. His ball tipped. He throws it off the leg of Jackson, and it goes out of bounds, so he'll get himself some more time to get the ball up the floor.
It's a man-to-man full-court press now by New Faith.
And there's a quick question being had with Michael Latz, who seems to be the official scorekeeper for the tournament.
He does, yeah. This is our second game now, and neither of the other teams that we've played against has had a book, a stat keeper, so Mike is taking care of everything down there. Let's see if he gets an offer from the New Faith coach today. It seems like he's indicating that there's a bonus 1-and-1 to be shot, but that surely can't be right.
Is there a foul on the last play? I thought it was just thrown off the leg.
Thrown off the leg of the play. Oh, this is a technical foul.
Yeah.
So again, we apologize to our listeners, as Coach, our viewers, excuse me, as Coach Rasmus had already said. We're broadcasting in extreme conditions here, so it's not really possible for us to keep track of a lot of the things that we would normally be aware of in the Lions' other games of this season. So we know that there's a technical foul called because Moss just shot 2 free throws and the Lions retained possession of the basketball, but what the call was, we're not really sure. I assume that it would be on the bench.
And that makes it 19-17, and the other nice thing is that ball gets brought over the timeline for us almost, but then pressure, and Adese just dives on top of Rouse, trying to dive on the floor, and so it will be Titans basketball as we see Garrett Drew check back into the game for.
I think he'll be in for Schrader. I believe.
Looks like for
oh no, for Adese.
Adese perhaps needs to cool off a moment.
He needs to sit down too. There we go.
The Lions trail just by 2 with About 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Rouse gets his man in the air, drives in, shoots over a host of Lions defenders, gets his floater to go.
And he can score, no doubt about it.
Quain dribbles past his man, draws a foul.
And that's on number 10, I believe, Devon Jackson. Hassling Quain, the ball carrier there. New Faith trying to put a bit of a run together here with this full court man-to-man pressure that they're exerting on the Lions.
Moss gets open and he can't get his layup to go. Burns on the offensive rebound. Quain passes to Moss, tries to drive baseline, gets denied. Quain has the ball knocked out of his hands, and quick the other way goes Rouse, who will lay it off the glass and in. And timeout called by Coach Anderson as that lead is stretched to 6 points, 21 to 7. Never mind, 4 points, 21 to 17.
Oh no, it's 6,
20.
Coach. We just saw a view of the scoreboard. 23 to 17 with 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes to go in this first half of play. Coach Anderson, I think here we'll be discussing a press break, since it's man-to-man press that we're seeing now consistently from New Faith, what the Lions are going to do in order to break that pressure. Looking a little, we know that New Faith is very athletic, very quick, and the Lions a little bit slower. So the New Faith is trying to take every advantage to get a big lead against them here in this second quarter, pressing them the full length of the court. So I think it's for us, it's a question of a little more off-the-ball movement, some maybe a screen being set or just something to get a guy open. I haven't seen a screen yet against this man-to-man.
And the Lions also, you got to say, they're getting it done in a lot more ways today than they have, than they did yesterday. You know, Moss in on the scoring line. Burns has gotten on there. Adesse's got points. This point, and this point in the last game, seemed like no one could get a bucket.
Exactly, yeah, it seemed like we couldn't score. New Faith here, they have number 24 back in the game, Harris. Looks like a little bit of a bigger lineup for them.
And Schrader hits a little baseline jumper.
Nice to see from the senior coach, driving to the baseline and getting a basket.
And now it's on the right side. Down low it goes to Morgan, working on Drew. Drew forces him away from the basket, but offensive rebound good. And then a shot blocked. Moss on the rebound, and then he throws it out of bounds. The Lions need to calm down, just collect the ball after they get a defensive rebound, after they get a stop, because they're getting, you know, having good defensive possessions. But then they're not able to make anything happen. There's a foul called going against Will Schrader. That's, I believe,
we're getting
his second.
stops. And I think if we just simply were a little more patient with the basketball, you know, we could get looks too. I mean, this New Faith team isn't defending incredibly well. I don't think they're as good defensively as Trinity was, who was able to exert pressure in all positions against us.
Certainly not. Well, they certainly don't have anyone with quite the length that I believe it was Diaz. Or no, Lima, excuse me.
Lima, yeah, the 7-footer.
Brought to the table, Matias Lima.
Yeah, he was a force. A force to be reckoned with.
With those free throws, Lions now trail 25-19. 6 points, the deficit. Tommy Bronner out there now for the Lions. He throws a pass to number 24, Harris, J. Harris, who takes it strong to the hoop, draws the foul from Bronner. And sophomore's got to show a little bit more composure out there. Looking a bit nervous with his first touch of the game, leading to a turnover.
And his first action this tournament, I believe, Coach, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he got in at last game.
He did for a few minutes last
he did
game.
for a few minutes, okay. There's 2 made free throws by New Faith. Should stretch their lead to 8 now, 27-19.
And
they got the rebound and score again.
And they are pressing hard. Morgan knocks the ball out of Drew's hands. Now it's a 10-point game very quickly. The Lions have to find a way to deal with this pressure.
Looks like we're finally running our press break, which is 4 flat across. People moving into their positions. and able to spread out the New Faith defenders.
Quain gets it over the timeline, but has it taken away from him by. Don't have a number 30 on the roster.
We didn't get that number before the game, so sorry, it's number 30 for New Faith. Their sub is checked into the game there.
Caleb Moss has the ball. He's working on New Faith. He drives too strong. Rebounded by Quain, who steps around the defender, shoots from elbow, and gets it to go.
Egan Quain finally breaks the Lions' scoring drought there to cut this New Faith lead to 8 points.
Back in single digits. The Lions, they can weather this storm with a bunch of reserves on the bench. They'd be positioned well to start that the second half. That lead back up to 10 points. Quain driving.
They definitely would. My concern now is with Odesse out of the game, who is going to be able to stay with Morgan, the big man on the inside. You would think it would be Burns, but the way that New Faith is spreading things out, they're trying to isolate Morgan on one of the Lions' other players.
And Quain draws a foul. Moss to inbound. Quain goes straight back to him.
And there's Moss handling it in the front court there against the New Faith defender over to, Bronner.
Bronner draws a foul. A bit lucky as he gets hacked to the ground. And he's grabbing his knee a little bit. That was hard contact there.
It was, yeah. The New Faith player almost swallowed Tommy Bronner.
Burns can't catch the ball on the block, and so back it goes the other way. Morgan has it. He's working on Drew. He drives into the chest of Drew, lays it up on that rim, and it goes. So now it's an 11-point deficit for the Lions.
32-21, Coach.
Quain drives, kicks to Moss, draws a double team, and Drew has it swatted from behind by J. Harris. And with that, we'll see Desse and Schrader check into the game for Drew and Bronner.
Desse back into the lineup for the Lions.
Desse catches it in that right corner. He gets it up top to Schrader, around to Moss for three, and it goes.
Big basket by Caleb Moss. Much needed, Coach, to trim this New Faith lead to 6. Another sub in the game. I'm sorry, 8.
8 corrections. Have to fact check over here ourselves.
A lot of fact checking going on in this game. So 32-24 lead for New Faith.
And if our clock is correct, a little over a minute to play here.
Looks like it must be with New Faith holding for 1 now. Oh no, maybe not holding for 1.
And an air ball by Emmanuel Cowder.
Yeah, I think he's seen his first action of the half here at the end of it. There's New Faith putting on some more pressure.
Moss inbounds to Burns, back to Moss, who will drive it up the court against Rouse, who's been backing off if the handler seems competent. Moss straight into the lane with a floater, too strong.
And yeah, he's got to make better decisions, Coach. Odesse was wide open there.
And Burns draws the charge.
Nice play by Burns. On the previous possession, Moss needs to pick his eyes up and look at the rim. He would have seen Joel Odesse wide open on the left block there, since Moss was drawing the one defender there going towards the basket.
Yeah, as a potential college prospect and a very tall guard, I think the big thing that you'd like to see Moss do is get his head up just when he takes the ball up the floor. We see a nice dunk there by Rutherford, and Quain just stepping out of the way.
There's Odesse working. getting it inside, telegraphing his pass.
And there's a travel called on Morgan.
The Lions are being, I think, a little bit bailed out here.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a number of calls go our way to give us extra possessions. We just need to start capitalizing on those calls.
And with a 10-point deficit, not very much long left here. Adese has it, and he can't get it off before the buzzer, so that'll be halftime. We will replay video we did yesterday, in case you didn't see it. I know we had some technical issues yesterday. So if you haven't seen it yet, we hope you enjoy it. It's episode 6 of our top 12. If you haven't seen who the number 1 and 2 players all time and Father McMahon's picks, here they are.
So, Father, let's start out with your pick for number 2.
You know, it's difficult, Joe, as I said. I've labored over this one. I think that in a number of different ways we could have had other people at the number 1. I mentioned John Carlisle or Charles Deister, Carlisle for the overall leadership, captain, hard work ethic. And then Charles Deister for having, just having that heart, the heart of the Lion. As a basketball player, strictly speaking, someone like Michael Middlemore, there have been, any for different reasons they could have been number 1. But it's pretty clear to me, I think objectively, that the 1 and the 2 are 1 and 2, but they're very close. I would lean to even saying they're tied at 1. But we've got to come up with a 1.
There's got to be a winner.
There's got to be a winner. There's got to be a 2. I think the biggest difficulty really is the fact that they're just so different in positions. One being a point guard and a really pure point guard. The other one being a big man, a 5, but someone who could go play a 4, even play a 3. And I think when we get to the starting lineups in different situations in the next installment, we'll look at that. But I think. We got to come right down to it, and I'm going number 2 with the all-time assist leader, one of the area's all-time assist leader. I think he's in the top 30, in the top 30 or 50 even in the state. James Deister, almost 400 assists. I think as a basketball player, even taking into consideration the rest of the list, this is probably number 1. James was athletically probably our best athlete as a player. Very quick, could jump, not very tall, but just a great athlete. Could score when he wanted to, but really didn't do it. Maybe didn't do it enough, and that's one of the things that keeps me from. I tried to find some negative to put 1 as 1 and 1 as 2. Just a great player, exciting to watch, made everyone better, was not concerned about scoring, was concerned about winning, wanted to pass the ball. I mean, a beautiful point guard. It was a pleasure to watch. I think at the beginning of this year, we saw how much we missed him. Someone like Ian Burns, who maybe has difficulty creating his own shot, or has. He's made great strides, and now, I mean, his 8 to 14-foot jump shot is almost money when he takes it. However, he relied entirely upon Deister to a great extent, as did almost everyone else. And you could even say that the number 1 relied to a great extent on getting the ball from James. If we had James this year, it would have been just a team maybe beyond beating. But I put him in number 2. Fantastic player, incredible work ethic. He's one of our Hammer Award winners. I mean, a burning desire. One negative might have been the fact that he was both the point guard and he was the captain of the team, but almost non-vocal. And I think to me that probably was the clincher to put him at 2 and not 1. If he had been more vocal, if he Had a little more of the Charles Deister, his older brother, in him, I think, and not much. We didn't need too much because he was a far superior player than Charles, but just a little more vocal. That probably would have put him at number one. But I mean, a fantastic player. You know, in my mind, you know, as the years go by, you forget a lot of the negatives, as many as you can, and just think of, you know, just great on defense, great anticipation. You know, one of those select few who actually anticipated, didn't merely react, had it all. Number two could be arguably number one. I think it's, you know, it's really up in the air. Well, but I'm going to go number two with James. Great point guard, definitely the best point guard we ever had, and possibly the very best player we've ever had.
Well, I'd say now that we've heard that too, everyone was probably taking a deep gasp to see here what the number one is, but I think it would be a bit assumed if James is number two.
So number one is John Warnowski. But John is the only player in La Salette history to get 1,000 points. I think it's 1,143. He scored in the single game high score, and he's, you know, maybe 8 to 10 times he's in that top 25 list of single games, and a number of them were very important games. I think the one that really stands out was a really tough overtime loss to Arcola, coming off a state football championship. They had a very good basketball team. I think they won the regional, maybe even the sectional, but they were in the sectional final that year in 2016. And that game, John had 35 points. When we really needed hoops, John made the hoops in the Indiana State Christian State tournament, and the Final Four in the championship game. Came up big. He was someone who could play inside, almost money inside around the hoop, and then he could also hit the three, could dribble a little bit, complete player, and he really, again, he's a Hammer Award winner. I think the reason I really put him at one eventually was I think we got everything we could possibly get out of John. He squeezed all the potential out of himself by an immense amount of hard work. Memory, I can remember his freshman year, it was September, playing a little pickup in the gym. I was still physically able to get out there and mix it up with the boys a little bit. It's probably a half-court game though at that time, and it was down south, and I remember playing it, and he was skinny, hadn't played much basketball, certainly didn't have great skills, very little skills, certainly not anything refined, but you could see he had nice hands. There was something to work with, and I remember saying to him, if you work hard, you can become a really good player. And he did that. To me, that's one of the great examples of what someone can do here, and the long-term goal of really putting the effort and the energy into that. And I think that's outstanding. So great rebounder, great, you know, eventually, and it's someone who maybe is naturally a little more timid, which is something a lot of our boys have, but at some point it clicked and he realized, you know, I can impose myself on the game. And he did that. Again, an only 1,000-point scorer. He was a special honorable mention in the News Gazette. He's the only person for La Salette who's ever been Athlete of the Week for the News Gazette, recognized there. He was selected for an all-star team, didn't play because he was playing rugby. That's something both he and Deister did, which I think is amazing. Deister maybe to a higher degree, showing the athletes if they had concentrated on basketball because both of them were able to get a scholarship in college and play at the next level. When they decided, both of them, James still currently is now at the Brothers Novitiate, trying to be a religious brother. John had tried the seminary rather than going off to college. But they decided to play rugby as seniors, hadn't played before. They go out there, they were starters, and James was you know, capable of being an all-state level player with some amazing plays, not really knowing the game because he didn't play. So there you have it, 1 and 2. It was a pleasure watching them. It was a pleasure.
And here we are back with second half action from the campus of Mount Vernon Nazarene University. The Lions are trailing 24-34, and that alley-oop attempt is gonna not come off. And neither will Rouse's three, but a rebound by the very long Henry Deji, and he drives in, gets a layup to go.
Two-pointer by Deji extends the lead to 36-24. Coach?
And
New Faith.
go ahead, sorry.
New Faith had outscored the Lions 15-13 in the first quarter of play and 19-11 in the second quarter to take a 34-24 lead into halftime. Now 36-24 with that basket by Deji. We found out at halftime, and there's a three-pointer by number 21. Stretch the lead to 39-24. We found out at halftime that the technical foul was because number 30, Crowder, had been listed by the coach as number 3, where it wasn't the correct number, so that gave the technical foul those 2 free throws that were converted by Caleb Moss there.
And there's another bucket for the Titans, coming out hot out of halftime, and their lead is quickly grown to 17 from just 10. Adese catches it to Quain in the corner. Burns back to Quain, who's wide open for 3. A little too strong, and Garrett Drew can't come up with the offensive rebound. Ball ahead to Rutherford. He can only save it back to Ian Burns. Now Quain to Moss, guarded by Morgan. He drives, gets his man in the air, puts up a little shot. It hangs on the rim for a second and then goes.
Lions' first basket of the half, Coach. Lead now 41-26, New Faith.
And you would think during halftime, Coach Anderson would have to be saying, guys, listen, you're in this game, you know. If you can make up a 10-point deficit, you guys will get to play for a Tier 2 national championship tomorrow. Up the court to Burns, off the glass, in.
Nice layup by Ian and a nice pass by Egan Quain. For a minute, I was afraid that the New Faith player might be able to pick that off, but Quain placed it just right.
And we see getting ready to check in, 6'11", Yves Nakumba. A nice move to get open underneath the basket by Henry Deji. And he gets himself a 2. Now a nice little pass to Moss, who goes off the window and into the hoop.
And that's good confidence builder for the junior Caleb Moss. As we're saying, looking a little bit out of sorts in both of these first 2 games for the Lions. Finally doing things that he's perfectly capable of doing on the basketball court.
Rutherford rushed to 3, rebounded by the Lions. Now Moss for 3 on the other side. He can't get it, but he gets the offensive rebound and draws a foul. And it was on the floor, so the Lions will inbound.
And that foul will be on number 5, Deji, for New Faith. See Eve checking into the game now for Garrett Drew.
Garrett Drew's looked a little bit out of sorts at this tournament. A lot more running than he's perhaps used to. And the inbounds pass to Adese, no good. And in transition, good work by Burns to contest the first layup. Titans not able to get anything off of it.
That's
and a foul called.
Yeah, I think that foul is, sorry, I think it's on number 21.
Yep, on Deshaun Rutherford. He's going back towards the bench to have a word with his coach. And Egan Quain shooting 2 at the line. First one up and rattles in.
Important free throw, I think, especially with the lead now at 12 points and still plenty of time. Now's the time for the Lions to cut into the lead. And baskets with the clock stopped at the line are, needless to say, absolutely critical for us to do that.
32-43 now is the score line as Rouse takes it in the front court, receives a little bit of extra pressure and attention from Egan Quain, and then they fall back.
See New Faith working it around there.
Rutherford goes to Harris, who's guarded far out away from the perimeter by Quain. And 5 seconds. Fantastic defense from the senior. High fives all around. And well deserved to stay in front of a very athletic
very nice.
J. Harris.
Yeah, this is great defense by Quain. Starting to get a little nervous there, guarding him so far away from the basket, and he's so quick, but Egan stayed right with him.
But he loses his dribble, and it goes to Rouse. Quick up the floor to Rutherford, who will throw it down with 2 hands. And that lead grows back up to 13 points. Moss over the timeline. He gets it to Quain. Quain to Burns for the alley-oop!
Oh, my goodness!
And that will get the fans in the arena on their feet.
That was absolutely beautiful. Burns got way up there.
And it is a long jump shot for Morgan. That's only 2. So now that score is 47-35, New Faith lead. Excuse me, 47-34. Quain has it, and it looks like Burns drives baseline, has it rejected. Moss goes up for the rebound, ties it up. Possession arrow favors the Lions, but that alley-oop may have added a little bit of
inject a little bit of life into the Lions here. It's a great pass and a beautiful, beautiful finish by Burns, jumping up there high and quickly.
All the Titans defenders charge up the floor, but Kumba has it knocked out of his hand. The ball goes off of Deji's knee. Eve dribbles so slowly that he just cannot put the ball on the floor against these guys. They're way too quick for him. Edese gets it under the hoop, goes up, misses off the front end, and Morgan goes up high to snatch that rebound. Rouse dribbles past Moss, goes high off the glass, put back attempt, no good. And Quain dribbling up the floor has a 2-on-1. He goes with the right hand up off the glass and the foul.
Egan Quain's coming to play this half. He cuts the lead down to 9 points now for, 11 points now for New Faith, with a chance to cut it to 10 here at the free throw line.
And subs coming into the game.
Yeah, New Faith's going to be much deeper than the Lions are here, even though our benches are about the same size, just because in terms of athletes, who can run up and down the court with this New Faith team, the Lions are a little limited.
Quain good on the and one attempt, and now it's a 10-point ball game. 47-37, about 2:50 to go here in the third quarter. Smith picks up his dribble, then finds Morgan on the right side. He's working against Edese. To
Morgan
Brown.
handling exactly where we want him to, far away from the basket.
And the rebound on that 3 attempt to Deji. Ball's on the floor, fighting for it are the Lions. The ball squirts out. Last touch, you would think, by Burns, and it is confirmed. Brown will inbound for the Titans. Correction, Rouse will inbound for the Titans from the side closest to us here.
Burns on the ball. Ian didn't want to tie that up, knowing possession was going to go to New Faith.
And 3 attempt Wild, and then quickly up the floor to Burns, who throws it down.
And the New Faith coach has seen enough. He wants a timeout to talk things over. Lions were putting New Faith right where we want them. So the lead is now down to 8.
That's correct.
47-39. And you have the time there?
We have about 2 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Lions started off a bit sluggish, but now they are starting to wake up.
Have started extremely sluggish against it, especially in the first quarter. When we were just turnover after turnover, and not just missed shots, but bad missed shots. Joel's trying to shoot from 3 there before he's even tried to establish himself inside, which he's able to do against these guys. I mean, it's a battle, but he can fight with them down low. He's not going up against the 7-footer from Trinity.
Well, I don't know if it's on complacency or conditioning, but the Titans aren't getting up and down the floor quite as well as they were at the beginning of this quarter, certainly at the beginning of the game as well. So maybe the legs lacking a little bit. We've seen them pull out of that press. Maybe that press took its toll in that first half as well. Deji has his shot blocked, but there's a foul called.
Oh, it's a foul with the body. That's what the ref's indicating there. I don't know if you could see it on the screen, but he was pushing both of his hands forward and telling Yves Comba that he fouled him low with his legs, when Deji was going up for the shot.
So it'll be 2 at the line. First one goes.
And that moves the lead up to 9, 48-39. It's going to be absolutely critical, I think, Coach, for the Lions to have this game within single digits going into the fourth quarter.
Second free throw, no good. Tapped out, and Rouse gets it for the Titans.
Still a 9-point game here. La Salette needs to get a stop on this possession, as Rouse is just letting the clock time wind down here. Guarded by Burns far away from the basket.
And Queen threatens to trap there. And then it goes off of Deji's foot. Up the floor to Burns, who pulls up from the elbow. Can't get it to go. Rebounded by Deji. But stolen by Adese. Driving in. Draws the contact,
and
gets the hoop
scores.
and the harm.
Oh my goodness. Joel Adese coming to play.
And Rutherford looking to check into the game. You think that Deji would be coming off. Will Schrader also coming in for Eve Kumba. And what do you know, with about a minute 20 to go, it's 48-41. Make that, yep, 48-41 is how it'll stay, with the free throw no good. And Rouse will just take a little time off the clock, get some composure, hopefully back into his side. Schrader guarding, and there's the turnover. Joel Adese coming up the floor. He finds Burns, who goes to the floor, not looking good.
And he picks himself up to hobble back the other way.
Adese has the rebound knocked out of his hands, but it won't matter. It's Lions basketball. And Burns thought that he was fouled.
Perhaps there might be a slick spot on the court that as his legs went right out from underneath him there.
And one of the things about these good defensive possessions by the Lions, it's meant that the Titans haven't been able to set their press.
No, yeah, the Lions have actually had runouts going the other way, which I was not expecting to start off this game.
Adese gets his man in the air, and he draws contact going for the shot. If you get your man jumping in the air, you're going to get the foul. That score is now 48-41 with 41 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Joel Adese can make this a two-possession game with a free throw make here, and he does. 48-42. The Lions inching closer.
6-point lead now.
And Coach Anderson gives a wry smile to the commentary position as another hoop goes for the Lions. 48-43, 5-point game. Time winding down here in the third. And there's a charge. Nope, correction, blocking foul. Nope, it is a charge.
A charge, yep, a charge being called there.
Two different refs made two different signals.
That's charges on number 11 for New Faith. Fortunate as number 21 for them. Rutherford would have had an open dunk underneath the basket had that charge not been called.
Burns gets it up the floor to Quain for three. No good, and it's off of Schrader going back the other way.
I think that'll do it, Coach, at the end of the third quarter. That's why Egan flipped the ball up when he did. He knew that we didn't have much more time left to try to get a shot off. Wow, goodness. I don't know about you, Coach, but I wasn't quite expecting this. At the end of 3 quarters of the play, the Lions are only down 5 points to New Faith.
Yeah, the number 1 team coming into the tournament, getting tested by the number 10 team, La Salette Lions. You see a bit more composure going in this game. You see the Lions here to play, fighting, diving on the ground for every loose ball, and that's what we were missing yesterday. That's what the Lions didn't have.
Yeah, we just look so discombobulated and out of sorts. I will say one of the, I think, things that is playing into La Salette being able to hang with them here is just fitness level.
Yes.
So I think the Lions are a little more fit than New Faith is. Was yesterday that was not the case. Trinity was getting, I mean, they only had 7 guys, and they were getting up and down the court and getting runouts in the 4th quarter against us. So New Faith, I don't think is quite has the same discipline and perhaps conditioning program that we saw Trinity obviously had yesterday, so that's figured into things largely. Still superior athletes for New Faith, no doubt, but not as fit as the Trinity guys were.
And Coach Anderson has to be telling his boys, you play 8 minutes like you just played. You play 8 minutes like the last 6 minutes, certainly, of that third quarter. you could be playing for a national championship tomorrow. And
Oh,
Quain with the steal.
And now he's coming down the court, hassled.
He finds a double team, gets hacked. And I can't see exactly what the call is, but that does not look good as his right knee kind of buckled there. He looks like he's okay, shaking.
He's getting up and he's moving on it. It has to be either a foul or a traveling violation, Coach. We'll see what the if we can tell what the referee is indicating over at the scoreboard. Just like yesterday, we have, from our position, there's a game going on between us and the Lions game.
And Tommy Bronner will sit down for Egan Quain, but step in for Egan Quain, but only for a moment. Schrader being hassled, he goes to the floor and then has it taken away by Rutherford, who will dunk it. And that lead back up to 7 points. Tommy Bronner breaks the pressure, finding Will Schrader. Will Schrader driving in, kicking to Burns. Burns draws a double team. Schrader has the ball knocked out of his hands, and that will allow Quain to get back into the game and give Tommy Bronner a rest.
The rest here is the lead back up to 7 for New Faith.
Quain gets the inbounds pass. We'll see how he is pretty quickly. Adese hassled from behind. He gets it to go.
That was a big, big shot by Adese. I think he was actually trying to draw a foul there on the New Faith defender.
50-45. Ball with Morgan. Now with Rutherford. Top with Rouse. He can hit a 3.
And Moss is on him. Moss is an extremely good one-on-one defender.
And too strong for Rutherford. And it says it's last touched by the Titans, and so it'll be Lions basketball.
And you see the Titans keeping the pressure on here.
Well, it worked for them early in the game. That's what created their run to get ahead by 10. But the Lions got a bit of a press break working now. And Rouse perhaps not quick enough to stay in front of Egan Quain.
Perhaps not.
And Quain gets into the lane, kicks to Moss for 3. Too short. But Quain recovers. Down low to Adese, goes up with it. And it's a one-possession game with 6:30 to play here in the fourth quarter.
Egan Quain, Coach, is just playing out of his mind. I mean, he's been playing better and better as the season's progressed, being more and more of a threat for the Lions. And tonight he's stepped up extremely well. I mean, he stepped up and asserted himself physically early on in the game, and he's just been making play after play for the Lions here to bring us back into it.
Quain to Burns in the corner for 3. And it hits the front iron and goes out. Rouse driving up the floor. He's got a 3-on-1. And there's a travel call. It's going back the other way. 50-47.
Fortunate. The ball carrier wrapped the ball around, and he was advancing it up the court. Would have been an easy layup to stretch the New Faith. That give them a 2-possession lead again. But thankfully for La Salette, we get another crack at it.
And the Lions got to get it in. They do to Quain. Quain is now being guarded by number 11, Jawan Kenny. Rouse not doing a good enough job, apparently. Then Adese draws the double team. He flips it, and Quain is able to recover. He drives down the lane, a little floater, blocked. And last touch by Rouse going out of bounds.
Yeah, Rouse was trying to collect that ball. It bounced down off of his feet and went out of bounds. The Lions will keep possession of the ball. We see the Lions being pushed to the limit here physically against New Faith. Guys are leaning over and grabbing their knees.
And about 5.5 minutes to go here in the game. Lions down 3. Tacumba, Quain drives, puts up a floater, a little forced. He can't get it. Adese goes to the floor fighting for that rebound. And Deji comes up with it.
That was Comba.
And the alley-oop no good. Trying to get a little too fancy there is Rutherford. And so the Lions will have another crack at this one-possession lead. But they don't need to make up all 3 points on this possession. They need to keep their composure.
They just need to get an easy 2, I think.
And Adese gets it with the putback.
Which Adese does. Cut the lead now down to a single digit, 50-49.
One of the impressive things about the Lions this season is they rebound about 50 to 55% of their missed shots, which means there's about a 60 or 70% chance if they don't turn the ball over that the ball is going to go in the hoop eventually on a possession where they get the ball on the rim.
Yeah, Desse has just been such a force around the hoop all year, Coach.
Rutherford for three.
Oh,
no good. Deji spins to the hoop. Gets the foul and the basket. So that lead at 3 points now. Potential to be 4.
And that's a smart move by Coach Anderson, getting Eve out of the game.
Garrett Drew
and getting
comes
Garrett
on.
Drew back in. A mental mistake there by Eve, not boxing his man out, not going for the ball. And then fouling Deji on that putback attempt that he had there is going to allow New Faith to stretch their lead back up to 4, 53 to 49.
Ball comes into Quain. Eventually he's still fighting for it. And then Moss comes up with it. He's got a 3-on-2 to Garrett, who finds Moss again after the contact and gets it in. It's a 2-point ball game.
That was a great play. Great play all around and a great finish by Moss. A nice play by Drew going up there. He could sense the body contact coming.
And there's almost a steal, ball tipped out of bounds by Desse. Not a lot of space over there between the sideline and those bleachers, so rough to go for a save when you're about to fly into plastic and metal.
Exactly. 2-point game, Coach, 53 to 51 here.
Rouse to Deji. Deji can't quite get the handle as he tries to drive against Drew. Then he passes it behind the back to Caleb Moss. Egan Quang gets it over the timeline. There's a Desse flying in, ties the game up.
We have a ball game, Coach. 53 to 53. We have a basketball game here. Coach Anderson is going ballistic there on the sidelines, cheering on his team.
And Juwan Kenny takes it upon himself to get his team going again, as he gets the layup to take the lead and then gets a steal away from Quain, and Rouse will not be able to get the easy layup to go, and then a timeout is called by Coach Anderson. A bit of excitement there. It's 3:10 left, 55-53 to go. And what a ball game we have. The Lions are playing out of their minds right now.
I see Egan, I don't know if he's either getting frustrated or he's just fatigued over there, but there's a lot of contact being made with the New Faith players, and he kind of stopped playing towards the end of that possession.
And you wonder if his knee is bothering him at all as well, obviously.
Yeah, he buckled a little bit on that one play. He seems to be moving on it fine, though. Have you noticed any movement problem?
I haven't noticed too much, but he has been crucial in getting the Lions to this point.
Yeah, he's been playing fantastically well, and he's been at such a physical disadvantage against this New Faith team. All the guards are bigger, stronger, and faster than he is. And
I think he might be quicker than Rouse, who's not Kraus. I think he is quicker than Kraus.
He is quicker than Kraus.
But I think he might be quicker than Rouse.
Yeah.
Who's been guarding him most of the game. And you saw they had to switch to Devon Jackson and then Juwan Kenny. Numbers 10 and 11 have started to take the the duty of guarding the Lions point guard.
Goodness, New Faith is not backing off this pressure at all. 2-point lead here. I mean, the teams that we've been watching all season, how many of them would still be pressing at this point?
Burns gets the inbounds pass. Now to Quain. And now he's drawing Rutherford's defense, and Quain gets
right
past him. He's going to the hoop. He finds a Desse in the lane, who spins, finds Drew, and has the ball knocked out of his hands. Deji taking it up the floor. Desse steps in to stop the ball, but Deji Euro steps past him. And then Rutherford steals it almost, but steps out of bounds. So 4-point lead right now for the Titans, 57-53. And we're getting into crunch time here for the Lions.
We are getting into crunch time, and we need big number 33, Garrett Drew, to make plays for us, Coach. He's been throwing the ball away a few times. He had one nice assist.
And Moss just has a vicious shot rejection by Deji. And the Lions need to step up. They need to switch on here as Rutherford spins in, can't get the first shot to go. Second attempt is good. Now it's a 6-point lead for the Titans. Inbound to Quain. Quain takes it up the floor. He splits through a double team. He'll take it to the hoop, then to Garrett Drew, who has people flying over the top of him, and he throws it away. And it looks like Will Schrader is going to be checking into the game for Garrett. And that's got to be a charge, as Burns was set there all day.
Yeah, he was camped out in the lane there to draw that charge on number 24. Harris streaking to the basket as New Faith comes back with their pressure. Still, it's only a 6-point lead here, and Garrett Drew has a seat. Coach Anderson's seen enough. He made a couple turnovers there.
A couple in the crucial moments of the game, and then there's the ball getting thrown away by the Lions. Rutherford will pull it out, throw it across court to Harris, guarded by Schrader, who drives in, pulls out to Kenny, and it looks like the Titans are going to try and take some time off the clock. Kenny can't get the layup to go, and so Schrader picks up his dribble and throws it away to Rouse.
And now they're going to take time off the clock.
And standing on the line is Rutherford. So about a minute 36 to play here, 6-point ball game. It's not impossible, but the Lions giving up that little tiny spurt here. They need to make up some buckets quickly.
A couple times when we broke the press in the past minute or so and we weren't able to convert has really cost us. A couple baskets there would have.
Burns for three, can't get it to go. And it goes out of bounds. Both Adese and Schrader were going for it, and when they saw each other, they got a bit hesitant. And it looks like we might see a little bit of a half-court press here, and then the Lions fall back a little bit. But Quain will.
Do something to exert some pressure against these New Faith guys.
Rutherford puts it on the floor, and he stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, we've gotten the ball so many times from this coach.
Yeah, the Titans struggling as much as we are to see those out-of-bounds lines and taped onto the floor. There's Moss with it. He's quickly up the floor. He finds, finds the outstretched arm of Deje, who has a tremendous wingspan, it must be said. And into the half court, driving in and hitting the hoop is Brown. That lead back to 8 points. Quain to Moss and has it taken away. Brown can't handle it. And there is another alley-oop attempt. And standing out of bounds when he tried to flick it off of Moss was Brown, so it'll be Lions basketball. And I think we're under a minute to play here now, 38 seconds to be exact. And
8-point lead.
The Lions need to make something happen as Burns gets a hold of it. The Lions probably need a three here, and Quain will be open for it, but he gives it to Schrader. Schrader short. Moss's shot rejected. Then he goes to Burns. Someone's got to take a shot. And another rejection by Deji. He is very long.
Yeah, he's just waiting back there for the Lions to try to go up and shoot it. He's getting right there to get that easy little tips and blocks. Some
of the key plays here down the stretch for the Titans had to be some of Deji's blocks. And we hear the final Hooter sound. Final score, 61-53. Bold performance by the Lions there, especially in the second half. Problem was they made a bit too much of a deficit there to start off the third quarter. It got up as big as 17. You keep it a little bit closer, it becomes a little bit easier towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think you're right, Coach. They were led in scoring by our statistics, which are very unofficial. Adese with 22 points, Burns had 11, and Moss had 11. Quain has 7, and Schrader has 2. That basket in the first half that he scored.
Quain did a fantastic job of imposing himself on the game, you had to say. Started to let up a little bit towards the end there. Probably a bit of exhaustion. Maybe that knee was bothering him a little bit. But you have to say, great job by him. He was really, really a difference maker, even if it was only for 7 points.
Yeah, and we see the Lions overall, I think, did a much better job of stepping up and competing against New Faith, playing them hard down to the wire. There are a couple times there in the fourth quarter where we'd been able to just get a basket, against their pressure. It would have changed the entire, the entire outlook of the game. But you know, we gave it our best shot and played as well as we could against them.
And with that loss, the Lions will move to the third, fourth game in the Tier 2 championship here at the NCSAA National Championship. So a good, brave performance today from the Lions. Just couldn't quite get it done towards the end of the stretch. It got as close as 2 points there, but a good little burst and a good run there from a team that's clearly very experienced playing this kind of game, these kinds of high competitive games. And it was really great to see from the Lions taking on the #1 overall seed in this tournament from the Tier 1-2 bracket and really pushing them about as far as they could go without breaking.
Yeah, the Lions competed extremely well there. You know, being able to keep playing through some mental mistakes and still compete late. So says a lot about the character of our team.
We will be back with you guys tomorrow. I don't have the exact tip-off times yet as we wait to see where we'll be playing. I know we'll be playing on an 84-foot court instead of a 94-foot court, which will have some of the big boys a bit excited, I'm sure, to not have to run so far to get basket from to basket.
Yeah.
But I hope you enjoyed listening to us today. And for Father Chevrier, I'm Coach Rasmus saying so long and have a good afternoon.